But yes, for this week's main topic, we're going to talk a little bit about our less than 24-hour total visit out to the Walt Disney World Resort. But we did some fun, interesting things during that 24 hours, right, Michelle?
Oh, absolutely. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really fun time. What happened? We ended up booking that resort. We already told you about the Riviera Resort. Actually, we had booked the boardwalk originally, but it ended up being the Riviera Resort. And we landed it at a specific time because we knew that was when they were going to be doing DVC's Moonlight Magic out at the Disney's Hollywood Studios Park. So we wanted to be sure and land that. And it's much easier to get that if you have a room resort ready for when those free up, right, Michelle?
Right, yeah, because they do an advanced reservation system for anybody who has a reservation at one of their resorts, and you can do that. Like I said, the advanced reservation check-in or booking.
Right. So if you don't know, if you are a Disney Vacation Club member, they do have these nights a few times during the year at the various different parks that are called Moonlight Magic. It's something that is like a late night ticketed event that comes at no extra cost. I mean, it's costly enough to be a member of Disney Vacation Club, but this is a perk on top of that. And yes, if you have a resort room booked for that night, you get an advance opportunity to book that. And usually if you do, you're likely, if you want to try, you will likely get it. We've also tried to do it without a resort reservation, which they do open up like a week later as well. That is much more hit and miss. I mean, they are very limited outside of when you're not staying on resort, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that one, we have managed to do it, but not always.
We've also missed out on it. It goes pretty quickly on that day. So it's always best if you really want to do these things and you're a Disney Vacation Club member to go ahead and book a room for those nights ahead of time. It'll make it so much easier for you. So we did get our passes. I had to work that day. I did arrange to be able to get out of work early. So we left out of here at about 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. The event started at 7 p.m. We got there to the Riviera close to 6, dropped off our stuff, hopped on the Skyliner. We were out there before 6:30, I think, when we was all said and done. We got out there and there was an extensive line for people waiting to get into this event, right, Michelle?
Right, because actually the event started at 9:30, but if you had this reservation, even if you didn't have tickets for the park, you could be entered into the park at 7:30.
One thing to note is for all these ticketed events, virtually every single one of them, if you happen to have an annual pass or a ticket for that park that day, park hopper or park reservation for that park for that day, it is of your advantage to just go ahead and head into the park, which is what we did, because there's usually a spot within the park where they'll just assume like, okay, if you'd been here for the day and still want to stay for the event, you can check in for the event. And believe me, it saved us so much time from waiting in that line for at least a half an hour outside before getting into the event. We just breezed right in using our annual pass, went to where it was the launch bay, the Star Wars launch bay is where they had the check-in, and there was hardly anybody in line there. We just went right up, they scanned us in, gave us our little bracelets that show us that we're there, gave us our maps, our food vouchers, and away we went.
Yeah, it was, like you said, it was so smooth. There was a lot of people from DVC working there to hand those things out. And it, like you said, we arrived at the park before they opened the outside check-in area. So that's why that queue was just getting longer and longer, waiting for the actual time that they would let people in.
I mean, not everybody has an annual pass. Not everybody would have a ticket that could get them into that park for that day. And I understand you may have to wait out there, and that's what you should do. I do believe that line, once it got moved fairly quickly.
Right.
I would suggest actually coming a little later if you're not rushing to get in there early on. Right. It doesn't hurt. We've shown up later and just checked right in at the gate and just walked right up to somebody. And, it's just everybody wants to get in there first thing and get into the park and check in. So you can work those either way, but this is what we did, and it worked for us. We knew that for the vouchers, so what that happens with Moonlight Magic is, yes, you get access to the parks. They have all sorts of stuff going on, and they give you usually 3 vouchers per person, per guest that comes with you that work for some sort of food item. For this event, it was snack type items almost entirely, and we knew, look, I just gotten off work. We're going to want to have some sort of food. So we decided, we went by the Brown Derby and saw the lounge there. Wonder what the check-in is like there. And I went on the app, the My Disney Experience app, looked, it was only a 10-minute wait for check-in. So I checked in online as we were going to go get our stuff from the launch bay. Came back, boom. It was pretty much almost instantaneous after we came back that we were allowed to go in. Our table was ready at the Brown Derby Lounge.
Couldn't have asked for any better timing. Like you said, 10 minutes, and that was just enough time for us to get our vouchers and everything. So perfect.
Yeah. So we went in,
really nice.
Decided, we wanted a little bit something. We didn't want to go overly heavy because we knew we were going to get all this snack food or whatever.
And all later. The ice cream bars we wanted.
All the ice cream we wanted. But we did want a little something, a little more hearty to get us started in the evening, so we're not starving, waiting for all this stuff. So we went there. We got a couple glasses of wine. We got a charcuterie board. We got the crab Louie appetizer there. That's all shareable stuff. Scott, there was a kids meal, macaroni and cheese kids meal. That was actually pretty hearty. Serving of macaroni and cheese, and you got him some green beans, and he ate well, far healthier than we did.
I know, yeah, some juice and everything. Yeah, there was no problem allowing him to eat off of that menu, and like you said, very large portion, a very large bowl of mac and cheese. He chowed down and seemed to really enjoy that, and we certainly enjoyed our appetizers and wine.
Server
as well.
Was more than happy to refill his apple juice. He drank a lot of apple juice and was just chowing down and kind of enjoying time with us. We were enjoying the snacks. The first time we'd done the charcuterie board there before, and we loved the charcuterie board from there. I had a couple glasses of white wine, the charcuterie board. First time trying the crab Louie. What did you think about the crab Louie there?
I really liked it. I thought it had some nice flavors. It's not a huge portion, but it was larger than what I was expecting for an appetizer.
It's a good shareable portion, I think, for 2 people.
Yeah, as long as you're not trying to make a meal out of it.
I wouldn't want to try and share it with more than 2 people, but I think it's good for 2 people. The crab, this crab's fine. It's tasty, but you really, if you get everything, you get the bread, the toasty bread that comes with it, and then there's a little sauce in there that adds a little spice to it. It's great.
Beautiful sauce,
and if you get it all together into a bite, it's really, really tasty, and I would recommend it for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was delicious. Yeah.
So we finished up our meal there, and then pretty much everybody was, by the time we got done with that, was starting to mingle in. The Moonlight Magic stuff was kind of starting. Again, it was still people in the park and people starting for the event. So we went around and started kind of scouting out, okay, where are we going to get our snacks? What are we going to get for snacks? And we also decided, hey, there's one attraction in this park. Now, this is not Scott's favorite park. There just are not a lot of attractions that he is going to go on there. He's not going on Rock and Roller Coaster. Neither is Michelle, probably.
I have been, but yeah.
Probably neither me, for that matter. Could he do Slinky? Maybe, but he's probably not going on that. He's definitely not going on Rise of the Resistance, What could we do? Well, we realized, hey, one thing that he likes over at Disney California Adventure Park is the Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. Right. And if you go into Toy Story Land, the alien swirling saucers is pretty much that, just not with quite as much fun as the Mater serenading you as you do it.
Right.
And it's outdoor, but it's not quite the same. But we thought, well, let's give it a try and see if he likes it. And I think he did, right, Michelle?
Yeah, I think he loved it. He loves Toy Story, so I think the theming was something that he also enjoyed. I do believe he probably likes Mater better, but I think he really does love Toy Story and that area in terms of being around in there. And I agree with you that in terms of attractions, there's not a lot at Disney Hollywood Studios. And I think what he likes in a park too is doing a lot of food tastings and stuff too. So
yeah, that's why we don't go a lot with him there, because it seems like an attraction heavy park, and even he doesn't even like to go into the shows really. So we're not going to get him into the Frozen sing along or any of that. So it was good to find something that he would really could enjoy and we could do there if we go there occasionally, and that's good. I mean, he does like walking around, and something like that night is perfect because we can pick up some snacks, we can enjoy it. It was great. So eventually we get through the evening and it starts to kind of herd out the regular guests, and it comes down to where it's the Moonlight Magic guests. And they had all sorts of interesting things going on. There was a DJ playing modern takes, including a lot of that pop punk versions of Disney songs. That was happening in front of the Chinese theater, which was great. And we mostly were talking about, we were there for the snacks, right, Michelle?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, at any of the Moonlight Magic events, they always provide some frozen treats for you to have as much as you want. And they have several different locations within the parks for it. So they have, the Mickey bars, the Mickey ice cream sandwiches, and then the fruit bars as well. And that you could pick up, you could have unlimited amount of that.
You could grab all you want, pretty much.
Yeah, you just walk up to the stand and grab those. So that's nice. And like you said, each guest has 3 vouchers for snacks. Some things were available when the park was open, that they had some of the restaurants.
Some of them were open. So if you were hungry and you didn't want to wait till later on, you could. There were some that were you had to hit up before 9 o'clock when the party actually started.
Right.
Because those those dining locations were closing down. So if you wanted to use your vouchers, you needed to go there before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, like at Ducking Bay 7, that was going to close at 9. It wasn't going to stay open during the entire event. That went till 12:30 at night. So that one, you'd have to go before 9 o'clock. And we did stop in to look to see. There was I think she said a half an hour wait because you couldn't mobile order with these vouchers. So they had one snack, their dessert, their mousse that we were going to get, but it wasn't worth it for half an hour. No,
it was like a half hour wait. Like you said, it was a cross right at that point. It was a cross between the guests that were in the park that were non-DVC and then the DVC guests trying to get those things before that closed down. So we just decided it wasn't worth it. We went and instead went over all the way over to near the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, Sunset Boulevard area.
Because Scott was really antsy to get some ice cream, and the ice cream treats weren't put out until after 9 o'clock, and actually it was 9:30 because they wanted to be sure most of the regular guests were out, by that point.
Yeah, they herded everybody out
right
at 9 o'clock.
So, but we promised him some ice cream, so we went over to Scoops, and boy, I'm telling you, what they were giving out at Scoops for those vouchers was pretty nice. And they had a few options that were really, really nice for you if you really wanted some ice cream and a sundae or something along those lines. Right. It was pretty good.
Yeah. We got the Mickey brownie sundae for him, and it was a generous portion. We all enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, it came with a Mickey-shaped brownie in it and everything. It was really nice.
Yeah. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good options. I mean, a lot of it was basic, Mickey pretzels, popcorn. There were some, cookies in various different locations or whatever.
Nachos.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't a lot of hearty options. I think over at Woody's Lunchbox, they had like a tomato soup there. It was a little warm and humid for tomato soup, but they had that there. They had potato barrels there. There were some fries at different locations. There wasn't a lot of super hearty options, but there were some interesting things. I think the one thing we got multiple of because we're like, this is a deal. We have to take advantage of that. Was the Jack cookie Num Num.
Yes.
Because those, I don't know if it's like it's like a cookie cake.
Yes.
It's so big.
Giant. Yeah.
Very
thick.
So we took advantage of getting a couple of those with our vouchers, right?
Right. There was one thing that we did get one of, and I have to say, I really wish we had gotten 3 or 4 of them because they turned out to be delicious. If you're ever at Hollywood Studios on Sunset Boulevard, they have Rosie's All-American Cafe. It's called the Fantasmic Peanut Butter Cookie. And went and got that and actually had returned to the line to get some additional ones. But we hadn't tried it yet, but as I was reading it, I thought it sounded a little strange, and I didn't know for sure if we'd like it. And I knew we were going to like Jack Jack cookies, so I didn't get another one. I got out of line. But what it says is a pretzel shortbread cookie sandwiched with strawberry jam and peanut butter, chocolate fudge, and a Fantasmic chocolate piece. And like I said, it sounded a little, this pretzel shortbread cookie sounded kind of strange to me, especially with jelly. But what it is it's like a long oblong flat shortbread cookie. It has a thin layer of the strawberry jam, and then this beautiful layer of artwork on top of this chocolate with the Sorcerer Mickey kind of painted on it. It was
battling the dragon.
Yeah,
from Fantasmic. Yes,
it was stunning, and so I thought it was just beautiful. But when we tasted it afterwards, it was like, oh, that was a winner.
Should have got another one.
Yes, at
Take home
least.
with us or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was good. Enjoyed that very much. Enjoyed the Jack Jack cookie num num.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very good. We also got some Mickey pretzels, yes, because we wanted something a little heartier, a little bit maybe not as sweet, so we did get some of them. When we went to get the Jack Jack cookie num nums, one of the things they also had at that same booth, which was kind of right outside the Pixar area there before you get to Toy Story Land, just behind the Grauman's Chinese Theater. That is where they had the cinnamon cream cheese pretzels, which we've had at other things that are really, really good.
Yes.
If you're looking for something sweet. But they also had a jalapeno cheese pretzel and we got there and they're like, we're all out of pretzels. Everybody again, because they didn't have these heartier dishes, I think those were the heartier things.
Right.
And so they were going quickly. Now, I don't think they were out for the entire night. I think they said they were like, things sell out, and we tell them, and then they bring them back eventually, and then we get more. But while we were there, they were out of them.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and I even heard the cast member talking to another gentleman saying that no, we're going to get more of everything. We know we need to have enough, but it's just because they're warming everything up that what they have at that booth at that time had been depleted, so they were waiting to get some more.
But there were lots of interesting options. I guess you weren't going to make a real meal out of it. That's really, again, why we tried to do the stop at the Brown Derby ahead of time. But there were a lot of different options, but there's also a lot of the similar stuff that you could try too. And again, all the ice cream you want. We probably overdid it on sweets. I'm not going to lie. We did too much ice cream, too much sweets, but we had a great time.
Oh yeah, we did try the Outpost popcorn mix over at Galaxy's Edge, which we hadn't done before, and that was kind of tasty. Surprisingly, Scott just ate that up, as they say.
Yes, literally.
Literally.
Yeah, it had it was a kettle corn. It's Kat Saka's, I believe, is a kettle corn shop there in Galaxy's Edge. We did, I think it's there all the time. I don't think that wasn't a special item. That cookie we're talking about, the Fantasmic one, it's a special item. It's not a special item?
No.
I thought that was a special item
on their
for
menu
the event.
now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good to know.
I went and checked to get the exact wording. I went on there. Yeah.
Wow, I thought that was a special item for the event, so even better.
Yeah, no, I think it's because it's right by the entrance to Fantasmic.
Very good. Yeah. There you go. So if you want to try something, that's one to try. But yeah, also the kettle corn. Kettle corn is sweet, but it's also got a hint of spice to some of them, so you'll get a lot of sweet out of it, but you'll get some spice every once in a while, and it bites. It is pretty good. A little pricey. I don't know. It's a little pricey for popcorn.
Right.
But if you're a big fan of popcorn that's unique and interesting, it's worth stopping by there and checking out.
Exactly.
For sure. One thing I'll say about this, and we did not do a lot of attractions. Obviously, as we mentioned, Scott was with us. There was only one attraction that he would really want to do. But I was insanely impressed, even for this event. And we know that an event like this, a lot of times, the waits are going to be less than what you would expect on a normal day when you go to Disney's Hollywood Studios. We all walked past several different attractions, and I think the longest wait I saw was something like 25 minutes, and that was near the front, where people were kind of going. We went by Rise of the Resistance, and it was 10 minutes.
Right.
It was basically a walk-on for
yes.
Rise of the Resistance. When do you ever find Rise of the Resistance for 10 minutes?
It was not even at rope drop.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and that was great. So there were lots of other things that were listed as 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I mean, all the big attractions that you know and love from Disney Hollywood Studios. You could have rode multiple times in that night,
right,
if that's what your goal was. They also had some great photo ops. Just some places around the park.
That's where the lines were.
You could take photos. Yes. Over in the Pixar area that I was just talking about earlier there, you could have met with Joy and Sadness, take photos. They also had there from Monsters, Inc., they had Sully and Mike and George there. They were all taking photos. That was a pretty lengthy line as well, but it seemed like it was flowing easily. I've seen worse lines at ticketed events, that's for sure.
Sure. Yeah. And they had some others. I mean, sometimes they bring out some of the characters that you might not see as often in other times of the year. So that's great.
But yeah, it was a party. It was a good time. If you are a DVC member, you should definitely take advantage of this sometime. Go do it. If you know a DVC member that might be going, you should hit them up, because sometimes there's extra spots available, and because believe me, it's no extra cost, but there's so many things that you will get the chance to do that you may not have the easiest opportunity to do on a normal day at the parks.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a celebratory kind of feel, because they always do have a DJ and some fun music as well. And so it does seem more like a party feeling than just going to the park and having rides open for later at night.
They did a special showing of Fantasmic, right? Didn't they?
Right, just for
the DVC members.
Yeah. So you could actually go on in that, and what I was being told and everything is you pretty much sit where the dining package is, so you get the best seats and it doesn't fill up. So.
Right. So that would have been that's another bonus if you love Fantasmic, or maybe you don't go because it's just, I don't want to try and get into the crowd and wait in the line and everything. I mean, just one more thing. Very good. So yeah, it was great. I never seen Star Wars Galaxy's Edge so quiet. I think the longest line, I take it back, there was really, really long line, and the character wasn't there at the time, but I have a feeling it was Mandu and Grogu.
Right, yeah, that's where we've seen them before.
That was where most of the people were that were in Batuu in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, were hanging out there. But other than that, it was quiet, and it was just really, really nice. It was really a great event. Is there anything else you think that I missed that you want to bring up about Moonlight Magic?
No, I mean, I think for the most part, the other thing is that the shops weren't open, so it wasn't an opportunity to do extra shopping. I mean, when the transition between the park closing, they do leave the shops open, I think, till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. But
we mostly used it to get into some air conditioning because it was sticky.
Yes.
It was very, very sticky.
It was a very sticky night.
It was very, very humid.
I was hoping for rain.
And this is for Florida. It was very, very humid for Florida. So just know how humid it was while we were out there.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed it. Great time. We got out of there, I want to say around 11 o'clock. It was still going on. The event was still going on, but we had done pretty much everything we wanted to do, got all the snacks we wanted to get, and hopped on the Skyliner, still functioning at that point, and just literally flew back to our room at the Riviera Resort.
Yeah, I was really happy to hear when they sent the reminder email to us that the Skyliner was going to be open for after park closing. In fact, that stayed open till 1:30 because I think in the past I've seen that they haven't always had that running. They have the friendship boats if you're going to any of
that wouldn't have helped us for the Riviera, which is part of the reason,
or buses,
the final deciding factor of the Riviera versus the boardwalk was the fact that the Skyliner, if the Skyliner hadn't been running, we wouldn't have done the Riviera. We would have stuck with the boardwalk. But the fact that the Skyliner was scheduled to be running, we went ahead and did that. And knowing we were going to Epcot the next day, which we did, we went back to our room. We had to settle in a little bit. We had a glass of wine and then pretty much hit the hay because we were exhausted.
Yes.
Slept in a little bit, got up. We didn't leave our room until right about checkout time because we were just a little slow moving after a late night the night before. But then we headed over to Epcot the next day, right, Michelle?
Yeah. I mean, the Food and Wine Festival hadn't started yet, so we knew what to expect in regard to that. But obviously, it was going to be a less than packed park to go to Epcot.
Boy, was it less than packed. Seriously less than packed. We went there and we were sort of half hoping that maybe the booths might do a soft opening for that day that we were there. So we kind of like, well, we'll peek in. We weren't planning on staying a long time, knowing it was going to get super hot during the day. But we wanted to kind of take a look, see what was going on, see if anything would open up. It didn't, unfortunately,
right.
Not at least not while we were there. I don't know if anything happened later in the day. I didn't see any reports that it did,
right.
But it didn't for us. We did see some cast members kind of getting the rundown of what was going to be happening at some of the booths, so they were getting prepared. We saw some people getting some of the booths ready, but it wasn't open. That's okay. We decided we were hungry because we're always hungry. One thing we did get the opportunity to do, and we're happy that we did because it's changing over for Food and Wine Festival, and we don't know if it's coming back, but at the Festival Favorites booth at Communicore Hall, which is outside there, they had the inside of Communicore Hall closed off, getting it ready for Food and Wine. But they did have that open. We weren't sure if it was going to be open, but it was, and we were able to, for the last day that they had it, have the arepas and the tres leches cake as well. So we got that to enjoy.
Yes, and I think we had tried everything except the tres leches from that booth, and so it was nice to add that on, and that was delicious.
Yeah. And the arepas are still really good. I hope they come back because I love those arepas. I hope they come back again after this festival or for the future. I don't know. But either way, love those so very much. We had the tres leches. Both Michelle and I had a bite, but this was mostly a birthday cake for Scott.
Right.
We gave it to him to enjoy for his birthday, right?
Which he did enjoy.
He did very much. He did very much. We just kind of walked around. We checked the boat. We noticed that there were very few people in Epcot that day. I mean, hey, the day before the festival, a weekday, Wednesday, not a bad day to be at Epcot because there was hardly anybody around.
Yes, which allowed us to do something else that we've thought about doing for a long time, but it's always, we find a very long line, and that's over at the France Pavilion, where we were able to get into their shop there to get a croque glacée.
Yes, it's something we've been talking about doing for a long time, but every time we go there, that line is always very long. And so we're just like, no, not this time, not this time. This time there was maybe 3 people in front of us when we got there. So it was perfect. We're like, okay, we're going to finally try this because I don't know when we're going to get the next opportunity. Not that we didn't have enough ice cream and sweets the night before.
I know.
And a part of a cake already earlier in the day. But we're like, when are we going to get the next opportunity to do this? So we did. So, Michelle, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what that is?
Okay, so they start with a base of a brioche. It's cut in half, and you get to pick a scoop of your ice cream from their selection there, and they also do a sauce. We picked the caramel sauce, and when they do it, it's cute because on the other half of the brioche, they did it in the shape of a Mickey silhouette with the sauce, and then they put so the ice cream it's like a ice cream sandwich between a brioche, and then they press it and heat it, the brioche part
very quickly, so the ice cream doesn't completely melt inside it, but just enough to kind of give it a little toast, give it a little crisp.
Yes.
And give it a little warmth too. And then what did you think about it when we tried it?
Awesome. So I cannot tell you how delicious that was. I wasn't sure, I love brioche, I love ice cream, I love caramel, all those things, but you never know. But it was killer. It was so, so delicious.
It's delicious. It's very rich. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's very rich and it's very messy because, yes, it heats up. So the ice cream does begin to melt a little more quickly than maybe you'd like, but it's wonderful, delicious. We really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad we got the chopper. I don't think it's going to be something we're going to order regularly, especially, again, the lines are always crazy at that shop. but it was something we really, really enjoyed this time.
Yeah, it's a nice, unique way to have ice cream if you want to try something different. That really hits the spot in that regards. I think, too, it didn't help that, again, it was another very hot, muggy day. It was middle of the day. I think it was right at noontime that we got that. So it was really max heat as well outside. So that didn't help. It was a lot. I don't know that I guess I could eat one by myself, but I think
it's a lot for
it
one
was a
person.
Lot. Yeah. Even though it was just one scoop of ice cream.
Very rich,
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Definitely worth sharing.
But yeah, we enjoyed it, and we're glad we got to experience it. That's for
Scott
sure.
enjoyed it too. We
all were taking
off
bites
of
off of it. Yeah, it was very good. It was really, really enjoyable, and you should give it a try and see if you like it. If you get a chance to go check it out.
Yeah,
and they have lots of all sorts of different stuff there as well that you can sample. Even just they're making cones there, all sorts of different types of cones and everything.
Yeah, they have flavored cones now to have some variety in there as well. They also have, if you're looking for something with alcohol, they do have the ice cream martini, and that's 2 scoops of ice cream, and then they do it.
When aren't we looking for something with alcohol?
I know. We could have done that. But that, then it comes with a shot of, you can pick either Grand Marnier, whipped cream, vodka, or rum. So.
Right. So we picked up, we ended up going to La Halle after that, and we got a baguette because we decided we're going to spend the rest of Scott's birthday back at home after we walked around Epcot a little bit. Started to get a bit warm. We're like, okay, food booths aren't opening up, no attractions that he's going to go on. The DVC lounge still isn't open. We were thinking about going there, but it wasn't open yet at that point. I don't know if it's open now, but it wasn't open at that point. So we decided, hey, that's it. We're going to take the Skyliner back again, which is a thrill ride enough for Scott. I think he really gets a kick out of it. Yeah. Took that back, hopped in the car, went home, and enjoyed the rest of his birthday. We got some wonderful gifts. I hope you saw the pictures of him on social media has been wearing his new Gryffindor outfit, looking very much Harry Potter-ish, because he got the biggest kick out of that.
Oh, yeah. That was so cute to see him put that on, and he looked great.
Yes, very much so. And so we just enjoyed the rest of his birthday back at home. And unfortunately, we didn't get to try the Food and Wine Festival food when we were there that day. But wait. On Friday, Michelle and Scott just happened to have that day off. I had to go into the office. I had to work. They didn't. They got to go to a return trip to Epcot, right, Michelle?
We did. Just for the day we went, and it was a very fun day, very fun adventure. Scott, like I said, Scott loves the trying of food, so whenever there's a food festival at Epcot, he is in for it. And I cannot tell you how excited he was. I mean, in the morning, because I kept it as a surprise, just in case for some reason I felt like it wasn't going to work for us weather-wise or whatever. But when he, in the morning, I told him, we're going to Epcot. He was super excited to get ready right away. One of his birthday gifts was a new backpack with Goofy and Max from the Goofy movie. So, and I had told him that would be helpful for when we went to Epcot. So he right away got that and was ready to go. And once we got there, I mean, I was getting showered by his kisses left and right, that we were there and we were going to be getting
fun.
Food. Yeah.
That's so excited for you guys that you got to do that. So yes, you did get to sample some of the food and wine food. I mean, there's so much that we still have to get to, and eventually we're going to be out there in a couple of weeks. We're going to sample more of it, but you did get to try a few things. So why don't you tell everybody about what you did get to sample and what your thoughts are on it?
Sure. We tried quite a bit. I wanted to save some of our favorites for when you are able to join us, but let me give you a rundown on what we did try. So I'm going by order of where you'd find them in the park, more or less. So starting at the front with the entrance, we did go to the Mecatizer booth, which is inside of Communicore Hall, and we did get we just got one of the mac and cheeses there. We got the truffle mac and cheese, and I was really expecting that it was just going to have like a dusting, a few specks of truffle in there, but they actually did have a couple couple nice slices of that very expensive, tasty mushroom on
couple
there.
Shavings?
Yeah, a couple shavings. So that was really very, very good to see that was a little, like I said, more generous than what I was expecting. So had that, and man, I think Scott ate that within seconds.
Oh, he loves his mac and cheese.
He does love his mac and cheese. We did from the festival favorites, which is that stand right outside in the same building at Communicore Hall. We tried their frozen s'mores, which is it's a chocolate milkshake, and then they have some mini marshmallows on it and a little piece of graham cracker.
So that's the same booth where the arepas were the day
Right.
or a couple days before that one we had talked about.
Exactly. So that's we picked that up there. It's an adorable little drink. It looks cute as can be. The taste for me reminded very much of a Wendy's chocolate shake. So
Like a Frosty.
yeah, exactly.
So depends on if you like a Frosty. A lot of people love Frosties. You're not the biggest fan of Frosties.
Yeah. But it definitely was nice. It was very thick, and so it had, like I said, it was cute, and I think it had a lot of good flavors. But yeah, we got that. Then a little bit further closer towards, as you're heading towards World Showcase, they have the Flavors from Fire menu again. And we did the Steakhouse Blended Burger, which is beef and wild mushroom slider. They do have truffle brie cheese, arugula, and truffled potato chips, and it's all on a sesame seed bun. I felt that the steak, a very bold, flavorful burger, and I thought those toppings complemented it perfectly. Really made for a nice, complete bite in that taste. My only thing that for me, but I think it's me because I'm not a huge bread eater, the bun to burger ratio is a little heavy. But for Scott, he actually, I think, enjoyed that. I'm
not a super fan of when you get mostly bread,
right,
and then you don't get as much of the meat of the sandwich, essentially.
Right.
And so, I'm not as big a fan of that. But it sounds like it was really tasty just the same.
Sure, yeah. So the beef burger itself was the size of a slider, but the bun was, I wouldn't say it's a normal size bun, but it was
a little bigger than what you'd like.
Yeah. Then closer to World Showcase, so they have the Australia booth again, like they have in the past. And there we tried two dishes. They had the grilled bushberry spice shrimp skewer, and that came with some sweet and sour vegetables with a coconut chili sauce. I thought the portion of shrimp was very generous. They had a lot of shrimp on the skewer there. Very nice flavors, some heat, but not excessive. I think most of the heat was actually in with the veggies than on the actual shrimp. And the shrimp was, to me, the real star of the dish. So that was really good. Then we also tried the roasted lamb chop that came with a mint pesto and crushed salt and vinegar potato chips. Chef's kiss to that dish.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I've always been impressed with their lamb chops there, and was not disappointed at all. The lamb was cooked perfectly and tender. The pesto sauce, it had a hint of mint, but it wasn't overly minty. So it was great seasoning with the lamb. The potato chips, they called it crushed, but to me they weren't that crushed. I was expecting something different. They were still good. But it was just kind of placed on top, but totally delicious dish.
That's good. We've liked the Australia booth in the past.
Yes.
And I think those are items that are returning, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
and good to know that they're still standing up.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think the only difference with that, maybe the potato chips was different than what they've had last year, maybe, but for the most part, the same. We did make a stop at the UK beer cart because they were having a festival cocktail there. They called it the Strawberry Basil Cocktail. It's Beefeater Pink Strawberry Gin, St. Germain Elderflower Liqueur, some ginger ale, along with some basil and strawberry syrup to it. Delicious.
Sounds sweet. Was it
Yes.
a little too sweet, or?
It was definitely on the sweet side. Think of a like my thought was, if this was a pool cocktail, I would not leave the pool area. I'd be getting that.
Gotcha.
I think it was pink enough for Justin Monorail from the Monday Morning Monorail podcast.
He loves his pink drinks.
He loves
that's
his
for
pink
sure,
drinks. I think he would have enjoyed that. Plus, it was tasty. And then so the consistency was kind of like it was a slight slushy, which was perfect because it was a very hot day again. But definitely, I would say 5 stars for that cocktail.
Good to know.
Yeah. Finally got to try the Brazilian cheese bread at the Brazil booth, which is between Morocco and France. They have 2 booths in that area.
Yeah,
So
Belgium's there too, right?
Belgium and Brazil. So we did try the Brazilian cheese bread finally. I can understand why this is a fan favorite and glad to see that it was there this year. You get like 2 small round, I would call them like dense but pillowy cheese, breads, and it's served to you warm. It was really delicious.
Sure, Scott loved that.
Oh,
He loves his bread.
He loves his bread. So that we enjoyed. Now, kind of on our way out, we stopped, and this is now the moving away from World Showcase, and it's at the walkway. It's if you were kind of going to the Imagination Pavilion. They have it's a new booth this year that's called Bramblewood Bites. Got 2 dishes there. The grilled bison that comes with butternut squash puree, roasted mushrooms, and huckleberry gastrique, which is like a sauce. And the cast iron Brussels sprouts and root vegetables that come along with some dried cranberries, some candied pecans, and a maple bourbon glaze. And these dishes you were able to even try.
Yes, you brought them home. I mean, they were reheated, so no, not going in. But yes, I did get to sample them, and I liked them both. I thought the bison maybe was a little bit gamey, but I thought the gastrique did help kind of balance that out a little bit.
Right.
I wasn't as big a fan of the puree as I thought it would be. It was okay, but it wasn't flavorful as much as I would have liked it to be. I really did like the roasted vegetables, though. I thought those were really good. And I love the addition of it. Was it walnuts or pecans?
Pecans, yeah.
I love the addition of the pecans in there to kind of, because it got a little soft at times, so you had the pecans in there that added this really earthiness, but that also added a nice texture change that I thought they needed. That was really, really good. I think the combination of the 2 is really, really good. Get them together for sure.
Right, definitely. And first of all, I have to say these dishes, I think, their theming is more fall. So having it on a hot summer day, first of all, I'm not criticizing Disney or anything like that. I think that I look forward to having that maybe again later in the season. I guess it's funny because with the bison, I didn't think it was gamey as much as I just thought that with the mushroom, it was very a deep flavor, very, very meaty flavor. I thought it was cooked nicely, especially even the fact that we had it, slightly reheated. It wasn't like it was actually like sliced of the bison. It wasn't like a burger. It wasn't like ground.
You will need a knife for it. Just know that.
Yeah. I think that because it was on a paper plate, and I brought that home, that absorbed a lot of the huckleberry sauce. I think if we had that eating it at the time, we probably would have gotten more of that sweetness flavor to it.
I did get the gastrique, and I thought it was good. And I actually thought it was necessary, and I'm glad it was there. Like I said, I thought the puree was more it wasn't as flavorful as I would have liked. And not bad. It wasn't bad.
Right.
It just wasn't. I was hoping for a little bit more out of that, and I just didn't quite get that.
Right. We drank this at home with some wine, some red wine. I think at the festival, I would like to try that. They have a porter over at the Flavors of Fire, I think it is. I would like to try it with that, or stout beer. I think that would have gone really nice with that bison, to try it with that.
You just think stout will go with anything.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Or porter.
But I in that booth, I do like when they have at their booths that outside cooker. I just think it helps add to the authenticity of the flavors and, freshness of it. So.
Yeah, it makes it feel like it's not just coming out of cafeteria.
Right,
somewhere.
exactly. So, I like that. So, I mean, I think we tried more than I was expecting to. I really liked it. I can't wait to try some more. Obviously, my list is longer than that, but for a first time go around, and I have to say, going on the Friday after it opened on Thursday was ideal. I couldn't have asked for better. I was a little concerned since it is a holiday weekend. I thought for Friday it was going to be busier. It wasn't busy at all. I mean, it wasn't as empty as the Wednesday, just 2 days before that, but it was definitely manageable. None of the lines were super long. I think to get the Brazilian cheese bread was the longest line, but that only had maybe about 10 or 12 people in line. I couldn't eat any more food when we went by the France Pavilion, because I would have loved to try some things there, and that line was a walk up to it, which we never see at the France Pavilion.
Yeah, the France Pavilion almost always has a pretty significant line.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. So I don't know what the lines will be like later on. I'm sure this weekend I would expect it to be, being the holiday weekend. It was probably the first weekend of the festival. But yeah, if you ever get an opportunity if the festival opens on a Thursday and you can go that Friday, I would say that's a winner day, because you're going to get through those booths without having a lot of lines.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I have to bring it up because we've talked about in the past, about the Communicore Hall. Okay. We talked about, it is what it is right now, but wait till we get to festival time. Let's see how they lay it out, and then we can judge it a little bit more. I still haven't seen it during festival time, but Michelle has. So, Michelle, what is your impression of what they've done inside Communicore Hall during a festival?
Well, I do think, so the area that there's this long wall, and you could tell it had like cutouts that would be windows. I was thinking that was going to be where they were going to have like cooking displays, but that's actually where they did the Macatizer area. So it's very spacious in that regard. So I thought that was good that the line kept moving quickly, and you had a lot, like if you were waiting on a particular dish, you had a lot of space there. They still have a lot of the tables and chairs, so it makes it convenient for sure to get something there. And they have a lot of wine samples. I think they have like 6 choices of wines. They have 2 wine flights that you can try, so you can get 3 of the nice wines, and then you can get 3 of the really nicer wines flight if you wanted to do that. So I do think it's convenient there. It's nice and air conditioned. Again, on a very hot summer day, that was really, really convenient. And then they have some food and wine merchandise areas set up there, so you can, if you wanted to pick something up there. So in terms of from the last time we went, I wouldn't say there was more decorations. You just had that openness for where they were providing the food for the mac and cheeses and the wine flights and wines. So, convenient. So it was easy for us to get a table. Again, it wasn't super busy. I think if you had a lot of people all wanting to eat there, but we didn't have a trouble getting a table, but it was right on the edge. Like, I think if a busier day, you might not get a table.
So it sounds like you're not really as crazy about it, like everybody has gone crazy about Communicore Hall, but maybe you were hoping that it would be a little bit more decorated than what it was. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it was going to be used as a shop, so maybe that was just my not realizing that. And I thought it was, again, some of the things, if you're looking for something spectacular, that's not going to fill that bill. But if you're looking for an area to go where you can cool down, have a seat, enjoy some of your food sitting down at a table and chairs, that offers that for you.
Very good. So, I'm going to say I've not been there, so I can't completely judge it for myself. I'm just judging it from what you've said and from the pictures I've seen. Mm-hmm. What I'll say is I would have liked them to do a little bit more with this space, but I'm also not going to go crazy the way some people are about it, because I think some people are focusing the wrong way on this space. It is what it is. It's a utility area.
Right.
But I do wish Disney had done a little bit more with it.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more decorations, and maybe they thought so too. But once they got things going, realized that maybe they just didn't have the space, because so much of that area is for that for the mac and cheese.
Right. And again, I'm not judging everything Disney does based on Communicore Hall.
Right.
I think that they could do a little bit more with it, and I hope that they do eventually do a little bit more with it. But I'm still going to enjoy that space. Every time we've gone there, it's a nice air-conditioned, relaxing space. That's great, and I'm glad that they have some festival foods there, and I will still enjoy it, and it doesn't bother me the way it bothers some people about it. I just would like to see Disney do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they emphasize the area for being decorative is where the character meet and greet is, the Mickey and Friends area.
Yeah, that's supposed to be great.
Yeah, so I think that's where they focus a lot of attention on decorating. I think this is more of a pass-through area, or like I said, just to have a seat to either just to sit and relax. I think they moved out the couches because of the merchandise area thing, that the racks that they had for some things. But they definitely had the tables and chairs still. So they had some, high ones and some low ones. So to me, it's more of a functional space rather than a event space or decorative space.
I think it's going to be in a more of an event space eventually. Like that's where they're going to have some big event things that are going to happen.
Yeah. I do think if they decide to do something with demonstrations, with food cooking demonstrations, they have the area, the space for that in that cutout area for sure.
So bottom line is you got to sample more than you thought, but there's still plenty to sample, but you enjoyed your time at Food and Wine.
Definitely did enjoy it. We had a funny situation. So we had an umbrella mainly for the sun, and all of a sudden when we were ordering the bison and the root vegetable dishes, suddenly the sky opened up and it just poured. And in fact, I had already given my ticket, but it just started pouring, and I said, "Can I come back to get the food?" And she said, "Yes," but I didn't. There really wasn't any place to go unless we tried to go all the way over to Imagineering Pavilion. So we just kind of hunkered down there with our umbrella and
got soaked.
Florida's
gonna Florida.
Yes, got soaked. But had kind of already planned for that. Had a change of clothes ready for Scott. Felt like
you toughed it out.
I felt like I could drive home with that. But so it was funny. We laughed about it. It was added to the adventure. But once the rain settled down and moved out, at least that portion, we saw some dark clouds. We knew it was going to come back. So, but it was the end of our day. So
yeah, kind of. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get drenched necessarily, but I mean, hey, okay, we'll cool off a little bit, and that's a good sign of like, hey, it's time to move on.
Yeah. It was by then it was like 3 p.m. or whatever, and so we were, like I said, we were already wrapping it up. That's why I was just getting something to take home so you could sample a little bit of it, and I knew that if of all times for us to get soaking wet, that was it, because we were heading out.
Very good. So is there anything else you want to bring up about our few days that we spent out at Walt Disney World?
No, not that I can think of. I think all in all, we had a wonderful week doing some fun Disney things.
Very good. I'm really glad that you get out there and try some of that Food and Wine stuff. I really was hoping we were able to do something on Wednesday, but not really expecting it. I'm really glad that you got out there. I'm glad you had such a great time and tried some really wonderful things.
Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't try to do it on Thursday when, it first opened. I figured that was going to be a busier day, and obviously all the people who wanted to get first things put out there on social media. I felt bad because I took tons of pictures, and I thought by now I would have had things out there, but I'll do that now and get some of the pictures out there, because the food really was beautiful, and we enjoyed it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So that kind of just recaps our quick trips out to the Walt Disney World Resort, Moonlight Magic, the Riviera Resort, a little bit of Epcot, a little more Epcot, a little Food and Wine. If you have any questions for Michelle about the stuff she tried at Food and Wine, please hit us up. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those for you. And we'll be back out there in about 2 weeks. Yeah, time after we get done with our cruise to sample even more stuff. And of course, we'll give you reports then.
Yeah.